Hello and welcome to What We're Watching. It's Katherine.
And Liz.
And Ed.
And John.
Okay, so first I need to point out, well, I'm a teeny bit distracted. What are you wearing, Liz? What's on your head? It's like a little tiny hat made of feathers.
It's not what is it called, a fascinator?
Oh, because those are always like big and have...
It's just a headband.
Okay.
But it's got black feathers on it, and it's going to relate to one of the shows that I talk about. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm trying to get a little on theme with my outfits.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't notice, but okay.
So it was either this or basically like a snow outfit.
A snow outfit.
You may have given some clues just then.
I don't think you can put it together, but kind of 1970s frames, and this blazer, this look is very like a little homage to 1970s too.
Okay, all right. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
All right, I'll still go first.
Okay, great.
But I couldn't not mention this headband situation. I'm
John,
excited.
can you not see it?
No, I could only see the headband part of it.
Yeah,
So-
and it's got, I mean,
Actually, it's sort of blending in with the background. So this is feathers. Now, I'm sure the bird dropped them willingly,
the bird.
and they just made a headband out of it. But, there you go. It's very
very
swan-like,
cute. Yeah.
right?
Oh, wait. What did you just say?
I actually feel like, it might be better if I wear it on like this. Is that a little better? Yeah.
Oh,
I
now
feel like
I
I
can
turn
kinda
my head
see it.
because I feel like I turn my head a lot like this.
We can see it a lot more now.
Oh.
I feel sorry for you people who are just listening because this is really a visual thing happening right now.
Yeah, it's worth you going to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, check it out.
Okay.
I mean, somewhat like the headdress that Natalie Portman wears in Black Swan.
Yes, that's not what I'll be discussing this week. But yes, on trend or on theme for what I will be discussing.
Okay, I think I know what it is, but I'm going to not pressure you right now. We can do the regular order and then we'll find out when we get to you.
Great.
Okay, I wanted to start with Dumb Money, which is a movie on Netflix currently. It was released in 2023, and it is about the short squeeze of the stock. I mean, I'm not a stock person.
Right.
I learned more watching this movie, but it's the short squeeze involving GameStop and a YouTuber and Reddit group buying up the stock and
this
causing
is scripted?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
because
yes.
there is a documentary, and I watched the documentary.
Oh, no, I didn't even know there was
okay.
a documentary.
Okay.
Okay. Netflix really, it knows me very well. And so when it offers things, I think this might be new. And so it was just across the dash.
It offering a movie is not the right thing for you.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, that's true. I do watch a lot of series and limited series versus movies. But movies I do like to watch. And this one, when I saw it pop up, I was like, ooh, I meant to watch that. So now I'm going to. Yeah, so Dumb Money. I knew about it a little bit because I kind of remember it happening. It was during 2021, so it was like full pandemic, which is weird because in the movie there's like obvious like pandemic stuff happening. And basically a short squeeze, I hope I'm getting this right, is when what
Why are you even delving into this? Who cares?
it's important-
manipulation of the market.
Right. I mean, not that all of it isn't
I mean,
manipulation. of the
my
market.
husband's a financial advisor, so I know some of it. So it's a short, and it's basically you continue. You're
Okay,
not totally
so-
off track, but like John is saying, I don't think we need to get it that accurate.
Well, I like
you know.
the idea of like I might have learned something. So
Right,
can I
okay.
say what it is?
Sure.
If you did, sure.
Okay, well, we'll find out in a minute. All right, so one of the actors in it, okay, you know what? Back up. So the main actor is Paul Dano, and he is playing this YouTuber. He also has a day job in banking or finance, but he's really just interested in posting his own ideas about
Opinions.
Yes.
Yeah.
About investing. He does live streams on YouTube and he has quite a following. He basically figures out that GameStop is being shorted by this one what?
It just was so insane.
I know.
I mean, the documentary, you meet the real characters, and it's just unbelievable.
They did show a little bit of the real people at the end, which I love when they do that in movies where it's like it's based on real people and then they show and you're like, yeah, you kind of nailed it. Good job. So anyway, he realizes that GameStop is being shorted by this hedge fund, and the hedge fund manager is played by Seth Rogen, and he thinks that GameStop is going to collapse because they're not doing very well. I know.
It should have. That's what's so crazy.
Correct. But this YouTuber, played by Paul Dano, his name was Keith Gill, he basically was like, no, I think they have enough product and market that people should be investing in them. Him investing in it and then getting other people to invest in it is the short squeeze.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
It's squeezing the people who were shorting it.
Thank God I got it.
Screwing them over for their bad bet.
Well, he was
or
a speculator.
making it a bad bet.
Yeah, and he speculated that this stock should be worth more than it was.
Right.
And then by manipulating a group of listeners into investing.
Well, I think manipulating is too strong. I think
advised,
that,
speculated,
or
opinionated.
Just, he just gave his opinion, and they embraced it and embraced him, and also were kind of like anti-Wall Street, like how dare Wall Street try and like force this business, or like take advantage of this business not doing great. And they realized they could totally screw over this hedge fund manager, because if you are shorting a stock and it doesn't work out, you could lose infinite amounts of money. It could just like spiral and go down and down and down and down, which is in fact what happened.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? That's right.
Yeah.
You probably, Ed, because you're kind of a gamer or was. Were you a customer of GameStop?
Yeah, I have bought and sold things from GameStop, and it's the kind of business that doesn't look like it should keep running on the surface, like, a mom and pop little restaurant. And it turns out, yeah, that's because we're not trying to make massive quantities of profit. We're trying to stay open. Their model was, this guy's coming in with $20 and he's going to leave with $0.
Yeah.
I actually was shocked.
They're really aiming for a low market.
I was actually shocked that GameStop was a stock you could buy. I mean,
that it was a public company?
It was a traded public company. It just didn't seem, quite honestly, because in this world of buying online, that brick and mortar going in seemed to be like, how is this store in particular going to survive?
Well, yeah. I think that was
the model with gamers. In essence, they don't really like to leave their house, their computer. I mean, somewhat of a broad, profiling them broadly. But it's like, ideally, you can have the game just dropped on your front doorstep versus having to go to a mall or to a shopping center.
Well, not even that. The main thing that the speculation was about GameStop collapsing was the switch to buying games online and not even ever having to go anywhere or get it delivered or nothing. I mean, so there was definitely like, he thought for sure, the Seth Rogen character, that GameStop was going to not exist because there was no need to go to a store anymore.
Well, also, it makes total sense if you look at every other brick and mortar go and rent stuff and then return stuff and continue that cycle forever, like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or any of the other ones that rented video games and movies. They're all gone. But the difference is, nobody rents one movie for 3 months and then goes and sells that movie back for half price and buys another version of that with a different cast. That's what gaming is. Gaming continues to play the same thing until they're burnt out on it. Then they go change it up. They return it and let somebody else play that. So it'd be like if there were a Blockbuster with only 100 videos to rent. And you had to keep going and seeing if the one that you wanted was there. It's not. I'll come back next week. It was a different business model than what they were looking at, which was all these stores collapsing. This is just another brick and mortar sales store. Of course it's going to collapse like Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. Let's short it because we missed out on those other ones. Unfortunately, gamers and video renters are not the same thing.
Well, I wonder if it was even, regardless of whether or not it was organically going to survive, it feels like we're saying that this guy investing in GameStop really saved it. The fact that everyone got behind it and wanted to kind of stick it to Wall Street, that's really what happened.
Really, it's just Robinhood, which is this trading app that brought in all of these gamers at under $100. You could start trading. And then what became the pitch to these guys over YouTube in the gaming community was, not only are they going to take this gaming community away from you, the shop that you go to, the place that you know, but you're not going to be able to get the stuff from there anymore. So you better put the next $40 into a stock instead of a game and then hold it so that that stays open. It's basically, he weaponized the entire customer base, which that's not manipulating the market. That is the market. Those are the people that want that to stay open. They had every right. It's just that, it wasn't actually on the up and up, the whole how cheap Robinhood was and what they were using with it and what their market share and place was. So they ended up actually making it really bad in the end, because since they had to negotiate their business and it wasn't about just that one customer base, the going for the short sell on that one GameStop. It's like Robinhood had every other customer and every other stock that they were dealing with. So they had to deal with the SEC.
SEC.
Yeah, Securities and Exchange Commission. And then that actually put a halt on all of the trading because it was very obvious they only trade on this one stock. And that's all they're doing is buying more of this stock. And they're not really trading on this like traders we want them to be. So we're stopping them.
The whole thing was really interesting, just the behind the scenes of everything that was going on. I like the way the movie showed different investors, one played by America Ferrera. She was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple good stories.
You're like, sell.
I know.
I mean, people are like, they're staying in their very suburban, lower middle class home, possibly, maybe never had a break or an opportunity like this in their lives, and they're like, I'm so excited. I'm checking my stock, and it's at 400,000 or it's at 1.2 million. You're like, sell, because then it went down to basically, spoiler alert, pennies on the dollar. So, there is something about like sell high.
Yeah. I think what was interesting is for some of them, it wasn't about making that money.
Wait a minute. Stop. Because I get that, but to have thought if I had cashed out, I could have hundreds of thousands, not millions in my account. You can say that after the fact, like, well, it wasn't really about the money. Like, but you could have had the money and it's like could have changed your life versus exactly what Ed was saying. It's not like you're really playing the stock market. You're watching one stock. So you invested, some of them invested like everything they had. Some people invested 500, but it's like the people that like, I took my life savings of 20 grand and it accumulated up to like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, get out. Get out. And they didn't. You're like, oh.
My only real miss for that entire plot line of like, yes, the small sellers needed to get out early and get their debt paid off. Is it they were just trying to pay off their college loans? Absolutely no. Don't pay that off. That's not the one you pay off. That's the lowest interest loan you're going to have in your life. These kids, they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, short version is really interesting movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a great job. It was very entertaining and informative, both about the stock market and how things work and this particular situation. So, yeah, dumb money, not a dumb movie. Real good. I really liked it.
I do want to mention the director, Craig Gillespie. He also directed Pam and Tommy, which I do believe we've reviewed.
Oh,
And
that's interesting. Wait, just on that, Sebastian Stan, he had a small part
He was in
of
charge
it.
of Robin Hood in Dumb Money, so it makes sense that there's a little connection there. He also directed Cruella and I, Tonya. So
Wow.
I figured those might be a wide variety of things that maybe give you an idea of who this director is and maybe why you might enjoy this movie if you don't want to watch a movie about finance stuff.
Yeah, it has
gamers.
It has a good tone
It's good
to
caliber.
it. It's well done. It has a good tone to it. Also, I want to shout out that Shailene Woodley plays the wife of the main character. She's very good. And then also Pete Davidson plays his real goofy brother, which is great. So,
And he went into hiding. No one knows where he is, right, Gil?
yeah, he does not have the YouTube channel anymore or does not post on YouTube anymore.
I think he cashed out and got some money out of the situation.
I think he sold half and he left the rest in. Is what it's, at the end
Yes.
when they do the
Okay,
little
yeah.
like blurbs about where who's doing what. But yeah, I just want to mention that the other billionaire characters, so the main one is Seth Rogen, who is great. He's really going through the ringer and he does a good job of like, wow, this is a roller coaster of badness that he's dealing with. But then also two other billionaires who are real fun, Vincent D'Onofrio and then Nick Offerman, and they are great.
Wow, they're fantastic actors. Yeah.
Playing real kind of jerky billionaires, which is kind of fun.
Especially since they're getting the short end of the stick in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Ed, bring it all
squeezed. They
back
get
around.
squeezed.
this is all power to the small investor.
And which stinks about this is that lessons were learned by Wall Street to prevent this happening again.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately,
So that is sort of depressing because, the Wall Street game sometimes can be very exclusive. They learned a big old lesson of like, as Ed said, like weaponizing a large group of people can manipulate or change a stock's projections in such a way that these guys in high offices thought they had it all figured out.
Yeah.
And then it gets taken away from them.
Almost like everyone that shorted that company should have invested in GameStop and helped prop it up better instead. And maybe those billionaires got what they needed out of that lesson. Just help stores. Don't take things down. Oh, no.
Well, yeah, that's such a mean thing to short a stock, too. It's so just like, I think you're going to fail. It's like, oh, you're so rude. Oh, God.
And depending on your platform, if you say it loud enough, people listen. And that's why your lead character on his YouTube channel was able to combat it. Like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We can save GameStop. Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is the movie Lift, which is also on Netflix. It's Kevin Hart's new heist movie. Not really a comedy. I mean, comedy-esque because Kevin Hart is very funny, but he's not really like leaning into big comedy moments. It's much more just like action and a good heist movie. And Vincent D'Onofrio, who I just mentioned is one of the billionaires in Dumb Money, is part of the crew. So it's a real interesting crew, and then they have like a real spectacular heist that they have to do, and there's a little bit of a twisty-turny thing going on. I enjoyed it a lot. And Kevin Hart was very good. It reminds me of a little bit of the performance that he gave in the movie with Bryan Cranston. I think The Upside is what it's called. Not comedic, but still Kevin Hart funny. So he's very good, but this is definitely much more in the heist action genre and does a good job of that.
Where can you watch that?
Netflix.
Okay, got it.
And the other thing I wanted to say about it is it's directed by F. Gary Gray, who has done a lot of really interesting stuff. So he's a really cool director. He does a great job in this one. And then it was produced by Simon Kinberg, who I'm a big fan of. He's done a ton of amazing stuff, but recently just watched a series that he was an executive producer on called Invasion on Apple TV Plus, and that was really good. John came over and watched it with Eric and I. Real good.
That's true. You guys started without me, and then you were like, we should watch it with you. So then I had to catch up.
I forgot that happened.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. So that I would super, super recommend, and that's called Invasion, and it's on Apple TV Plus, and it has 2 seasons. Kind of a slow start because they're telling a bunch of different stories and kind of bopping around. But, ooh, God, it is really good. It's about an alien invasion, and you're following a couple different ways that people are trying to deal with it. But yet, in the beginning, you don't even really get the aliens for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 episodes. It takes a little while to even get there.
I like an alien invasion.
Yeah, it's really good. Invasion.
I'm usually like, I'm out. I'd be dead. But sometimes I like where it's like things are just starting to get a little weird and you don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think the second season, they kind of have a time jump. So we're a little deeper into this has been going on a while. But it's really good.
Okay.
I just wanted to jump in with this little side note about aliens.
Oh, aliens, yeah.
I don't know if you know, but I finally got...
We're abducted?
No. We're abducted? Abducted? I'm not sure which one we are.
We did think growing up there was a chance of both. So there you go.
I watched all of the available seasons of Resident Alien, which...
You're a huge fan.
Is a great show. We love Mr. Tudyk. And by the time this episode drops, I think either the new season started or will be starting. So get watching it. And also, it'll be rolling out 1 episode at a time. So that'll get re-reviewed in a couple months.
Right. So Resident Alien, that's a sci-fi show with Alan Tudyk, and he is hilarious. Yeah.
This is bullshit.
Yeah. Yes, his characterization of an alien living in a human body is quite fun, and it is coming back.
Yep.
So sci-fi, where did you watch it?
It's on Peacock.
Oh.
And first 2 seasons were available. I'll bet you they'll be dropping those as streamers like on a weekly basis as well.
Love
the new
it.
season.
Okay, that's the fun version of an alien. They're not invading yet, although he is supposed to destroy the whole planet, which he's a little, walking back, not thinking that's a great idea.
I mean, that's his whole goal. That's what he's here for.
That's what he's supposed to do.
But then he's fallen in love with humans.
Not really. He still thinks we're kind of jerks. Yeah.
I mean, like, if you were a human and landed on a planet of dogs that had, figured out society, you'd be like, yeah, I kind of like dogs. I don't know if I want to live here, though.
Yeah. But
So-
maybe we shouldn't kill all of them.
Maybe don't kill all the dogs.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, I would recommend that. I loved it, the first 2 seasons. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited that it's coming back. Oh, Resident Alien. Okay. So last up for me, I watched the movie Rustin.
Oh, right.
That is on Netflix, and it stars Coleman Domingo as Bayard Rustin, who I didn't know about, which, you know, you should know about him once you watch this. It's a biopic, and he was a civil rights activist and organizer, and he was the one who organized the March on Washington in 1963.
With Martin Luther King.
Right. And he had been friends with Martin Luther King, and they kind of go into this because they go across a couple different years in this. It's not just focused on one year. It starts earlier than 1963. He was friends with Martin Luther King, and they had a bit of a falling out, and then they get their friendship back together sort of around this march, which is an amazing story. Just that they did this march and the obstacles that were in their way, and particularly him. He is a black man, and he was gay and out, and they were trying to weaponize that against him, the people who didn't want this march to happen. It was really, really good. Coleman is nominated for an Oscar for this performance, and rightly so. It's a phenomenal performance. The other interesting thing is this is executive produced by Barack and Michelle Obama, which I did not know.
Their new production company.
Yeah,
Okay.
their production company. It's called Higher Ground. And when I clicked on it on Netflix, Barack Obama popped up and is like, kind of tells you like, it's not part of the movie, but it's more like the little primer before you click on the movie.
Okay.
He says, you should know him, and he was amazing. And I'm like, how are you involved in this? How did I not know that your production company with your wife made this? But now I do know, and I watched it, and it was really, really good. So I highly recommend it. Highly.
Yeah, there's been such positive reviews and reaction to his performance, and he is killing it on the red carpets with his looks. Like,
oh, yeah.
Good God, does he look fabulous?
I know. He really is just doing... I saw one thing where he had like a gold coat on and just like, he's amazing.
He looks fantastic. And then, you know, just like you, I did a little investigating, like, who is this Rustin? You know, knowing about civil rights and the movement and learning more about it. And of course, you know, we've only been taught this narrow narrative, which is Martin Luther King. And the idea of like that he did this somehow on his own is ridiculous. So who supported him? Who helped do these walks, these rallies? You know, who was his infrastructure? So for us to find out these additional, you know, true heroes of history, I think it's fantastic that this is like sort of the topic or the angle they're going to go with their production company. I mean, I'm not sure that's what they're going to do, but like one of their first movies. Yeah.
In this movie in particular. Some other amazing performances. I want to mention the actor who plays Martin Luther King Jr., Amel Amin. He was amazing. So good. And then also Jeffrey Wright was in there. He's kind of a jerk in this. He's kind of against
one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's so great. Chris Rock is in there. And then Cece Pounder, who I love. She's a strong character.
She brings gravitas to any role. Watch out.
Yeah, she's so good. And one of our favorites, Devon Joy Randolph, has a little bit in there. She has a big singing thing at the march. Yeah, so just overall, it was really good and really worth watching. I'm glad I clicked on it and watched it. Thank you, Netflix.
I think I will watch it now. I mean, the buzz around it, especially because the Oscar buzz, you know, it's on my list, but now it will move to the forefront.
It's hard when there's a lot of things that you want to watch, and then you kind of need to be reminded, like, oh yeah, scooch that up and get it on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's kind of it for me. That's what I've been up to, everybody. All right, so Liz, do you want to go next? Because I really want to see if I'm right about this hat.
Okay.
Sorry, this it's not really a hat. It's just a headband. Okay.
Yeah. No. Wait, I'm turning. Okay, this way. I'll give everybody a full look. Black feathers, so you all can see it. So it's a little bit of my homage or plain theme to the FX Hulu anthology series Feud. Capote versus the Swans.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, that is what I was going to guess, but I like that you're trying to...
A little themed out. Okay, and you know, so this is season 2. Season 1 of the feud was Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which was the Joan Crawford, Betty Davis feud, which was fabulous. These are Ryan Murphy productions, and he has his level of taste and interest, and man, when he decides I'm going to focus on something, I mean, you cannot be my friend if you don't like this. I'm just going to say it. I was watching this. I'm like, this is so delicious. There's not even savor watching because, of course, it's the Hulu format or the FX. It's like one a week. You're like, Oh my God.
Well, wait, explain what it is, because I know a teeny bit about what it is, but I do remember when the first feud happened, I was like, what is he going to do for the second feud? Because I didn't know if he was going to only do like 1940s things or
There's no more feuds.
I know, I'm like, there's a lot. So
maybe he was going to do Fjords.
Fjords. a little different, but
Battling Fjords.
There is an isolation thing that does happen, so it a little is on theme. So this season 2 feud, Capote, which is Truman Capote, versus the Swans, which is, he coined the phrase the Swans, which is his group of women that he befriended, and they took him in, and they are New York socialites, like the creme de la creme, the most powerful. And really the focus is on 4 of them, although there are quite a few. And he is at sort of the height of his fame because he was a writer and wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's. Also, he had written a true crime novel, In Cold Blood.
He was super famous for that.
He himself, also an out gay male, and just the way he spoke and like so gossipy, just people were drawn to him. He was a true life character because he was so of himself. I mean, there's just never anybody else like Truman Capote. So he's able to, and I do mean like infiltrate, because this was a very insulated, small world New York society. It's like American royalty. So you almost are like a Rockefeller is going to marry a Pally because the clubs you belong to, the networking. So to be able to get in there, and as a gossip, I mean, that's basically what he was. Every single one of them thought, he's my best friend. He would never betray me. So where we really start this journey is that he is fallen on hard times because has a manuscript due for his next book, but because of his fame, he's sort of living just the famous lifestyle versus getting down and doing the work to actually continue it. You know, he took it in advance, but he hasn't delivered the work. And he's drinking a lot and going to bathhouses and just not focusing on his job.
Yeah, he's enjoying his life, not doing his job to get that next book done.
Right. So you meet the 4 main women. And listen, the casting, I'm sure when you get the call from, Ryan Murphy Productions would like to call you in for a casting. I mean, no one's saying no. And, he has because they're an anthology and because he likes to work with the same actors. Jessica Lange is, really the OG grand dame diva of his casting, and she's in it.
Love it.
Interesting role. Not one of the Swans, though. But he has his repertoire theater people practically, where he has created this little ensemble. And Naomi Watts plays what is Babe Pally, who is the queen bee or the main swan of these women. And then Diane Lane plays Slim Keith. Chloe Sevigny plays C.V. Guest, and Callista Flockhart plays Lee Raswell, who was the sister of, can anybody guess?
No. What?
Are you guys serious?
What?
Jackie O. I mean, how do you not know this?
I don't know.
Okay,
all
right.
Paying attention to this stuff?
So, and now there's also other fabulous women cast in it, but those are the main 4 swans.
Isn't Demi Moore in it?
Yes, but she's not a swan.
But
she's one of the crux that starts this, what is our modern day, we would call ghosting. So because he's, I don't want to say short of material. He's never short of material, but he had this idea for a script. But like I said, sitting down and doing the work and writing, he wasn't really interested in doing that anymore. It was like living the lifestyle and being a drunk and just going from party to party was more of his interest. So he basically meets this character, John O'Shea, in a bathhouse and becomes his manager, quote unquote.
Is this based on a real person?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And he encourages them, like, your material's all right here with these women, because they'd all go to lunch in New York, and these lunches were hilarious because it was basically alcohol and smoking and gossip. I mean, it seemed like
Very
they rarely
nutritious lunch,
ate their meal. But it was a famous restaurant in New York, La Côte Basque, and it is one of those, you go to be seen, and where your table is, the hierarchy and all those elements. And they had this round table, which totally reminded me of this play, The Women. And it's like, the cattiness, you're looking over at a table, looking over at Demi Moore because she's basically been cast out, her character. She played Anne Woodward in this show, and her husband been killed, and Truman feels like she murdered him. So, and he's such a gossip. He's like, let me change the names, but you all know who it is. It's like, oh my God, Truman. And it's one of those things in life, if someone is gossiping to you about a mutual friend, guess what they're doing when you're not there? They're
Oh, yeah.
gossiping
Yeah.
about you. That these women did not understand that or were so shocked. He wrote an article for Esquire magazine in 1975, and it was called Le Cote Basque 1965, which is sort of its prime luncheon era. Like you had to get dressed and you were going to lunch there. And drinking and smoking, ordering another bottle, and just gossiping on all your girlfriends. He fictionalized it, but it is like, changing a name from Joanne to Anne. I mean, it was like that, like almost on the nose.
Very light masking
Right.
of who he was talking about.
And here's the deal. There's certain people that he should not have spilled some of their laundry. And Babe Pally, played by Naomi Watts, that was a huge catastrophic mistake for him. Because then the four swans, and this is really the crux of the whole story, decide to ghost him out of their lives. It is so fabulous. It is the ultimate, like, he has FOMO like you would not believe. How he tries to get himself back in there. I can't even imagine how he would have lost his mind in social media to see the parties and all the things he was no longer being invited to or included in. And he has to be sort of cast away to Hollywood, which to him is absolutely beneath New York society. Absolutely beneath it. There is an excellent sort of transitional, what is happening Thanksgiving in the upper crust society when they all go to Florida, and he was invited but then disinvited, and where he ends up in Hollywood at, which you would think, Johnny Carson's house. I mean, you would think, shouldn't he be happy?
That seems pretty good.
Oh my.
No,
I mean,
bad.
Oh, it's fabulous.
It feels like he thrives on drama, and that feels like the New York side of the world, whereas the Los Angeles side is put up a facade and don't let anyone know what your problems are. Keep it going until you fail.
Well, it was also about pedigree. And so this New York society, like I said, they kind of within their circle marry each other. So it's the country clubs. It's going back to the fathers of our country and true wealth and huge properties, and where did you go to school and how important that was, and who did you marry, and were you a debutante? That is not Hollywood. You could become famous and have come from some small town or farm in the middle of America. And, you hadn't traveled Europe. You were not sophisticated. So that's why it did not appeal to him. And you're going to watch what is basically how you destroy. That is their goal, to destroy him. Oof. Really, really, really led by Diane Lane. She is like, Slim Keith is not letting up on the pedal to basically run him over. Listen, most of these women had their wealth or their power through their marriages. And Slim Keith, she was a fashion icon, American socialite. I think she's married 3 times to all very wealthy, powerful men. And these women, because these men would go off into the industries of America and run them, whether it be television, steel, all those type of things, their lives were completely run by their wives. The social book, the schedules, all of that. The dinners, the china, the chefs. I mean, just, that's their thing. The sets, the costume, the attention to detail. Incredible. Bravo to the entire production company. You're just like, I just want to go there. Can I go there? This is where they're kind of, I'm like, this is the homage. Like, this is very Chloe Sevigny's like vibe in it. Yeah, a little bit. So really, you are now going to watch this complete group of women turn on Truman Capote, and he's not going to go down easy. So
Now, have you said who plays Truman Capote?
Oh, Tom Hollander, not to be mistaken with Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Oh, gosh.
Because there's a great story how Tom Hollander, I don't know how this happened, but
I think they had the same agent at the time as this part of the story.
Yeah, he got some residual check, which is like, payment after the fact. And it was from the Spider-Man movies. And they just didn't realize, like, no, it's Hollander. The ER is not correct on the end. So he opened up and like literally almost like fainted because it was like, what the hell? It's like, oh, it's not for you. It's not for anything you did.
Yeah, he was telling that story on some interview show, and it is crazy.
I'm sure there's a moment he's like, oh my God, I just won the lottery. It's like, no, okay.
No, sorry.
You American audiences might know him most recently. He's had a little bit of uptick in our radar because he's British and done extremely well there, like won BAFTAs and things like that. White Lotus last season with Jennifer Coolidge. These gays are trying to kill me.
Yeah, he was
the gay.
Yeah,
he was the main one. And, that did not end well for him. So he will not be in season 3 of White Lotus, spoiler alert. But, he's
great.
He's fantastic. I mean, the cast, Demi Moore is fabulous. Molly Ringwald, she looks great. And she's playing Johnny Carson's wife. A big shout out to Treat Williams. This was his last project. God bless his soul. I love him. I've always loved his work. And he plays Bill Pally. And he has an interesting arc that you really kind of start off kind of hating him. And even by episode 2 or 3, you are rooting for him and loving him. And like I said, so many of these characters, if you are a fan of Ryan Murphy and his projects, you're going to recognize them. So it's just the whole group. So I could not, recommend it more. Like I said, you cannot sit at my lunch table unless you like this. And it's based on a book by Lawrence Lemurs, Capote's Women, a true story of love, betrayal, and a swan song for an era. And that's really accurate. So far, most of the episodes are directed by Gus Van Sant, and some of you might know him from Good Will Hunting. He redid the original Psycho, one of my favorites to die for with Nicole Kidman. That goes way back, but like 1985, it's so good. So, I was curious how he would do this because he has such an aesthetic. Nailing it, fabulous. And because there are crossovers, reflections back and flashbacks, and I just think that it's so well done, but I mean, you kind of expect that level from Ryan Murphy. And it's written by, the actual teleplay is written by John Robin Bates. And from the book adapted, I think the source material is probably pretty fabulous. And Truman Capote was such a character that, I think the leaps they're taking are, probably most of them are somewhere, it's not a huge leap because he was such a notorious human being. So I could not recommend it more. And that is Feud, Capote versus the Swans.
Wait, did you say where it's available?
Yes, FX, then Hulu. It's 8
FX
episodes.
On Hulu. Okay.
I'm only going to do one more thing, and I'm not going to go into them. I'm just saying, if you're kind of in a down place in your life and you need motivation or you need to be inspired by the human endurance and endeavors and what people can overcome, there's 2 things on Netflix I could not recommend more. They are Full Circle, which is a documentary about a paraplegic skier. So it's like a particular adaptive skiing.
Oh.
It also has what was sort of the first adaptive athlete skier, Barry Corbett, and he was an alpinist. To know that someone can basically get re-inspired, find their passion, and encourage other people. And it's like I said, it goes back to generationally someone before him and where he is today. And this one is based off Trevor Kennison. And he's just, my God, he's so charming as this young man who has found a way. But it also gives more insight about the paraplegic life than I probably have seen. It was just fascinating. And the other one on Netflix is The Human Playground. I have had my mouth dropped on the floor numerous times. It is a series about, I don't even want to say sports, but in some regard, but both individual, it's things you have never seen in your life before. And it's narrated by Idris Elba. Just that voice alone.
Oh, yeah.
God, the gravitas, the like, oh, seriously, I'm listening. The indigenous or native cultures they go to and show what they still do. Honestly, you're almost like, I cannot believe modern world technology have not destroyed this. It is fascinating. I could not recommend it more. And it inspires you to kind of go like, okay, my little petty, whatever I'm facing in my own life, my own struggle, get over it. Get over it. Like, get over it, get on it, because it's like there are people all over the world that don't even have a tenth of what you have or the capabilities or anything, and look what they're doing with their lives. So both physically, mentally, environmentally, all of it. It's so fascinating. So those 2 on Netflix. One is Full Circle, and the other one is The Human Playground.
Love it.
And scene.
And scene. And scene. Awesome. Thanks, Liz. Okay, Ed, did you have more stuff?
I do have a couple things. In fact, after watching Dumb Money and Paul Dano, I'm like, I think I remember getting about halfway through Batman from 2022. It was real dark. I was trying to watch it during the daylight. And I was like, this is I'm not doing this. But there was enough time spent that I'm like, I think he's in that. I think he's the bad guy. I think I'm going to watch it again.
Oh.
And yep, sure enough, I could recognize his voice through the thing. I'm like, yeah, I just listened to you for 2 hours. That is Mr. Paul Dano behind that mask. And Batman and him are going to figure it out. And it's, it happened, and there's not another Batman from that series. So.
And there shouldn't be. Well, I know we're not normally critical.
It was the Batman project, and he was closing it up, and we were watching the end of they could have done a prequel. but it would still be very dark and
so
very
dark.
looking and
Yeah.
ugh.
Imagine the controversy was the Game of Thrones, that one dark episode, an entire movie like that. You're like, what am I looking at? It was so dark.
Now I will say that having watched
And we
it,
don't mean dark. Sorry, wait, Ed. Clarification. We don't really mean dark
As in
story-wise,
tone.
which it was.
it was dark in tone, but it's Batman.
Dark in lighting.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you will basically want to get out your phone flashlight at the screen and be like, what am I looking at here?
There were a couple times, and I'll say this: I doubt that it's a contrast issue with you having captions up, but I didn't have captions up, and so I'm just watching it.
Oh, you're assuming I had
in a-
captions up?
I know you have captions up.
I did. You're right.
So there's this bright white text. I can't see anything except the bright white text on the screen. Well, in actual fact, if you don't have that on there, and I'm watching it at night in the dark, and there are scenes where I'm like, well, there's a flashlight. That's the cops with the flashlight. They're in the building somewhere. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, it was
It was
torture.
pitch black.
It was
and
torture.
A single light source, which has got to be crazy to film. But anyways, yeah. So I hadn't spent the time on that. I finally spent the time on it, and it is 3 hours long. Go for it. Watch it. Enjoy it. I'm not even sure where it's available right now. Let me look.
so
real
Could you
quick.
be the
So-
cast?
It's on HBO
Wait,
Max,
as
but
I just said, like, must have enjoyed the film. Can you remember being the cast and crew? Like, you've been in that. I mean, it is so dark. You walk out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be Dracula.
The entire cast and crew suffering from the same syndrome.
Oh my gosh.
Batman's bats suffer from.
The
Just in dark
ophthalmology
too
bill
much.
was huge after,
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's
all-
Paul Dano is playing the Joker, right?
No, the Riddler.
The Riddler.
I mean, it's an amazing cast.
And they didn't even rely on glitter or sparkles at all.
What? what? What's that supposed to mean?
The main Batman, Bruce Wayne, is played by Robert Pattinson. Hello.
Oh,
Twilight.
it's a
geez,
Twilight.
I honestly, there was a couple times where his like all black Batman outfit suddenly had a gold reflection on the Batman thing. I'm like, why would you put gold in the middle of your? Are you trying to call your attention to in the shadows when you're trying to sneak up on
Yes,
someone?
yes.
But then there are a couple times where he's like walking around and he's, it's been raining out and he's a little glistening. And I'm like, is that water? Is that glitter?
Oh,
It better be
could have
water.
been- yeah, it could have been glitter. No. Oh my
I'm
God.
sure he has that in his contract. No glitter.
No more glitter. I'm done with that.
All right. And that one is available on Max right now.
Okay.
All 3 hours of it. Enjoy. I also watched the new TV series Ted, which is a prequel series to the two movies, Ted and Ted 2. Super creative. With Mark Wahlberg, created by Seth MacFarlane. And they took that same kind of character and just brought him back to 16 years old when he became the Mark Wahlberg kind of, not exactly, I don't want to say F up, but like not definitely not like the rock star that Mark Wahlberg usually plays. Like he's got it figured out. In Ted, he doesn't. So as the 16-year-old, the character John Bennett is played by Max Burkholder, who has been doing voices on Family Guy with Seth MacFarlane since he was like 5. Okay, now I understand why he's in this show, because him doing Mark Wahlberg's accent doesn't work.
Oh no!
Fine. Like I just moved on from him trying to get Mark Wahlberg's very Bostonian accent.
How's your mother?
Yeah, that kind of. It was like, well, he's trying. It probably sounds a lot better than it does after all the editing and putting it together. Like the flow may be different when you put it all back together. But also, he's working with an animated teddy bear. So one of the things I was noticing was, if you have a character in your show that's like 2 feet tall, there's a lot of really extreme angles to keep the eye lines right and to keep the conversation going. And you're like, on the floor, on the ceiling, on the floor, on the ceiling. It was an interesting show to watch because it was a prequel about kind of a messed up character who didn't really make it in the first movie or the second movie. So it's not going to go very well for him as a teenager. But it was, 7 episodes worth more of Ted the Talking Bear. So that was very enjoyable. And I do enjoy Seth MacFarlane's characterization. It's basically a teddy bear version of Peter Griffin. So I'm fine with that. I like Family Guy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As a prequel, do they actually give the origin story of how Ted came to be? Like, how does Ted exist?
They did that in the movies, and
okay.
I think they touched on it in the first episode, but then they moved on from it because they're fast forwarding to, I think it was this 5th or 6th birthday.
There's
so now,
never mind. He's a talking teddy bear.
He's a talking
You don't
teddy
need to worry
bear. We're
about it.
moving on.
Yeah.
You already know from the movies, right? And the other 2 shout-outs that I wanted to call out were his parents, Alana Ubach and Scott Grimes. Scott Grimes, for me,
Oh.
is a sitcom dad in this. He's like the one who got it right. Everyone else is struggling with their accents and some of the jokes, they aren't really like locking in, but Scott really was killing it for me. He was also in another series that Seth MacFarlane did, The Orville, which I like sci-fi, so some sci-fi with jokes, although they ended up a little bit more serious in that show than I was hoping for. But Scott Grimes, I'll continue watching that show when it comes back after the first 7 episodes that are already available and ready to watch for you. They're on Peacock. All 7 are available right now, and it's worth watching all 7. It's like another movie duration. That's fine. I'm into that. And
Cool.
All 7 episodes were directed by Seth MacFarlane as well.
Oh, all right. Great.
Staying on the comedy tack, and also the crass humor layer of jokes that I'm going for, I decided to start watching the new late night game show, talk show, After Midnight on CBS. I'm watching it on Paramount, but it airs every night at midnight on CBS. And it's a bit of a game show. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers Whose Line Is It Anyways, where one of the jokes at the top was the points don't matter, but it was kind of like pitting the cast against each other, who was winning and who was getting the bonus points. They're doing that bit in this, where sometimes they have a couple come on and like you want the husband to win, so he's getting more of the points than the wife is, or vice versa, or they're playing these things. But it's a bunch of comedians and TikTok stars and YouTube stars that are all in the panel. I mean, the contestants. And Taylor Tomlinson is the host, and she's very funny. And although the format of the game show, they are trying to fully load it up with as much jokes as they can. It's not a stand-up act, so it's not like a running hour of jokes. There's a lot of set something up, try something funny, try something funny, try something funny. Sometimes the comedians are all there and nailing it, but overall, I mean, it's not a hard half hour to watch, and there's a whole bunch of current, references as far as like music and funny things you may have seen around the internet. They're pulling all those into the show as part of their game show bit. So I'm going to say I recommend that. It's on Paramount, but it airs on CBS. So
Gotcha.
They do make fun of that quite a lot in the show, that they're the language on this one. We are on CBS, you all. Maybe don't say it like that.
Chill out.
I did not know who the host was, but I like that she came out to give an award at the Emmys this year.
Oh.
And it was like, who is this? But it was like Stephen Colbert came with her, and it was sort of like, I don't want to say passing the baton, but like the introduction, like, hi,
Pretty
everybody.
much.
This is who's going to be doing a late night TV show now. And I was
Yeah.
like, good for her.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear that it's entertaining.
Yeah, I had seen her stand-up stuff, so
Oh, okay.
I knew
Yeah.
who she was. She's very, very funny.
Yeah.
Really good.
That's essentially how I'm aware of her, is from her stand-up stuff and on social media. So I'm like, oh, you upgraded to a show? I'm watching that.
Yay, love
And
it.
is Stephen Colbert a producer on it? I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is called After Midnight. And I did see that it was sort of quasi-inspired by At Midnight, which was the...
Late night talk or game show / talk show previous to this. And I
Right.
think they do share some of their graphic symbol.
Oh,
like the at symbol is embedded in the word after, which makes it hard to understand how you're trying us. How do you want us to say that? After.
Afatra?
At for
Oh,
turn.
jeez.
Maybe not. Maybe that's
Just
not what
it's
you
an
want
A.
to say. Yeah,
How about that?
exactly.
Right. Okay, well, great. John, you're up.
Okay. So I went to the theater and saw I.S.S. International Space Station, which is a thriller.
Thriller. Oh, okay.
There's very little science, so that's unfortunate. It's a large political underpinning, which is also unfortunate, but whatever. Then you get all the action, because it's a new scientist, Ariana DeBose, going up with this scientist who's already been there. These 2 Americans going up to the ISS, and so you get 6 cast members. 3 Americans and 3 Russians. Apparently, we should recognize all 6. You're going to recognize 5 off the top, no problem. So you have Ariana DeBose, Chris Messina, John Gallagher Jr., Costa Ronan, who, if you watch those last couple seasons of Homeland, we know him as a very maybe good, maybe bad Russian spy. Pilou Asbæk from Game of Thrones and etc. And then Masha Mashkova. She apparently was in For All Mankind, Katherine.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
As well as Mick Mafia, which I don't know if a lot of us watched. But she's also in an upcoming Apple show, Lady of the Lake. So we're gonna get
okay.
more of her. You excited about that, Liz?
I read that book, I think.
Oh, okay. I don't know. All right. So look, it's fun. You're on the space station. It's very dangerous. That's about it. Watch it if you want to.
Okay.
This isn't the movie or the one with the plot where the world's gone to shit while you're on the space station, and now you're two countries who are actually not cool to be on the same.
When I said about unfortunate political underpinnings, that is what I meant.
That is what it is. All right.
But in the end, that basically doesn't matter because it's just action on the space station.
And I want to say, I don't know if I read the book Lady of the Lake because I just looked it up to say like, yeah, I read that book. All that's coming up is Land O'Lake Butter. So
That's not helpful.
So I don't know, but it sounds so familiar to me.
That is a very smooth read. That.
Yeah.
Now, I may have said it wrong. It is Lady in the Lake.
Crap. Maybe I did read Lady in the Lake, but not Lady of the Lake. I mean, all that came up was Land O'Lake Butter, and I was like,
That's not helpful.
no, nothing's coming up either. I might be just crazy. I don't know. It sounds so familiar to me, though.
I will say the director, who came from documentaries, including Blackfish, Gabriella Cowperthwaite, recently has been doing scripted. This is her third one. There was Megan Levy. Then there was Our Friend. So I think some of you watched that one. It was with Jason Segel and Dakota Johnson and Casey Affleck.
I remember that one. I didn't end up seeing it, but I remember the promotion for it.
Yeah, so she's done. I watched Megan Levy, and that was good. So yeah, she's definitely. I mean, Blackfish is amazing. So I'm excited for whatever's next.
All right, great. Okay, so that's it for this episode. So we'll do a quick recap. Oh, you know what? Before we go, I did watch a stand-up special. I watched
Something else?
I know. Well, whatever.
Oh, my God.
Okay, and then we'll be done. So I watched a stand-up special. I watched Mike Birbiglia's The Old Man and the Pool.
I saw that too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It is hilarious. He is so great. I mean, I love his whole rhythm. It's kind of like a slow, like you're going in one direction and a little bit of like a surprise. Like everything's very self-deprecating. The main theme of this is about getting older and health struggles. I mean, he's so good. This is, I think, his fourth stand-up special. They're all on Netflix. He's really great.
I only have one thing to say about that. It was a while ago when I watched that, but the thing that I remember about it was I'm like, what is going on with this set design? I don't understand what's happening behind him. There's this big grid, and it like marries into the state. What is he going to do with that? And then he does something with it.
Yeah. It's
So
great.
I was very satisfied by that single moment of the entire special.
Yeah, it's cute design-wise. He did it on Broadway for quite a while. It had a great run. So it really feels much more like a one-man show than a stand-up routine. He's wearing he's not carrying a mic. He's wearing like a little headset mic, which is very good quality considering how much moving around. And he does like fake swimming. And this thing that you're referring to, Ed, is sort of like the side wall where he like goes up on it and slides down it, and like really very, very inventive staging-wise in that way. But yeah, really good. Love Mike Birbiglia. I love his acting as well, but when he's just himself telling stories, it's delightful. So, okay, so now we can wrap up. Now we can do a recap. Okay, so that was one stand-up special, Mike Birbiglia, The Old Man in the Pool. All right, but also I saw 3 movies, Dumb Money, Rustin, and Lift, and those are all on Netflix. And then we kind of side mentioned that everyone should go and watch Invasion on Apple TV+.
Invasion? I don't even remember. We covered so much, I don't even know what that was.
It was the aliens, Liz.
Okay. I mean, I figured. And I do like aliens. I said that.
Yeah.
So I watched on FX, Hulu, Feud, Capote versus the Swans, along with, I talked briefly about on Netflix, 2 sort of very inspirational documentary series. One is called Full Circle, and the other one is called Human Playground.
I talked about the movie The Batman, and also the TV series, the new TV series, After Midnight, and Ted.
And I watched I.S.S. in the theaters.
Great. Okay, so that's it for this episode. And thank you for listening or watching on YouTube. And please follow us on all of our social media at Podcast Watching, and that's Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Right. Okay, so that's it for this episode of What We're Watching.